The knock. David Carter was used to quiet nights. The kind where the only sound was the distant hum of the city and the occasional rustling of wind through the trees. He had built a life for himself, one of peace, discipline, and careful distance from trouble. His home was his sanctuary. A modest, well-kept house on the edge of town, where he spent his evenings fixing up his old Harley and sipping tea on the porch. He was a retired veteran, a man who had seen enough conflict overseas and had no interest in finding any more on home soil. But trouble, it seemed, had a way of finding men like him. It started with a knock. Hard. Urgent. The kind that made the walls shake. Then, before he could even stand up. Boom. The door exploded inward the wrong house. 4 officers stormed in. Tactical gear. Rifles raised. Boots pounding against the wooden floor. Hands where we can see them. David didn't move. Years of training told him not to. Quick movements got people killed in situations like this. What's going on? His voice was calm, but his mind was already running through 100 possibilities. No answer. Only the click of safeties coming off. Then, one officer, stocky, with a buzz cut, spotted the rifle on the table. A Barrett .50 cal, freshly cleaned, the pieces still laid out neatly beside a cleaning cloth. Gun, someone shouted. David barely had time to register the movement before he was tackled to the ground, a knee slammed into his back. Wait. A fist met his ribs. Shut up. Then came the zip ties. Tight. Too tight. The weight of their bodies pressing him into the floor, grinding his cheek against the cold wood. And just like that, David Carter, the man who had spent his life following the law, serving his country, and keeping his head down, was a suspect. A mistake. Hours later, the truth finally came out. Wrong house. The raid had been based on a tip. Someone, somewhere, had given them an address. And instead of verifying it, instead of knocking and waiting, they had stormed in like they were taking down a cartel leader. The officers, now looking a lot less aggressive, muttered their apologies. Mistakes happen, one of them said. Mistake? David looked around at his shattered front door, at the overturned furniture, at the blood on his lip from where one of them had accidentally hit him. He took a deep breath. You're going to fix this, he said quietly. Buzzcut crossed his arms. Look, man, it was an accident. No harm done. No harm? David clenched his fists. This wasn't over the fight. The next morning, David was on the phone with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a civil rights attorney. They forced entry with no warrant, the lawyer said, her voice crisp. Put a gun to your chest. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. David leaned back, rubbing his sore wrists. How hard is this kind of case to win? A pause. Depends, she said. How loud do you want to be? David didn't hesitate. Loud. The war. What started as one man's fight turned into something bigger. When the story hit the news, veteran wrongfully raided in police mix-up, people paid attention. More stories surfaced. More voices joined in. Turns out, David wasn't the first. He was just the first who had fought back. And soon, the officers who had kicked down his door? They weren't just dealing with one angry man anymore. They were dealing with a movement. Epilogue. David never got an apology from the department. But he got something better. A lawsuit. A citywide policy change. And the resignation of the officers involved. And the next time someone thought about raiding the wrong house? They thought twice. Because David Carter made damn sure of it.